And I like it, especially just like the barrier, right? Because against aggro matchups, you don't care about ring toss. You don't really have the time to corrupt it, and you always look for barrier anyway. So, makes sense. But let's dive straight in. Obviously, there wasn't a ton of breakdown to do on both players' decks, because that was kind of two birds, one stone situation. Yep. So let's dive straight into it. Game one of the day is Specialist. Zhym versus Felkeine, a true mirror match. Sol is clapping in the background, because I believe it's a... what are you clapping at? Just Encounters Flow for everyone?
Encounters flow all around, indeed, yes.
True mirror match.
Zhym does have the perfect 1 mana to go with that as well. Again, got to be a little bit careful because you want to occupy a lot of your time drawing cards where you can in this matchup. So just having a handful of clunky minions here for Zhym might just get a little bit awkward just in terms of hand space, but still, ideally, you would love to play that card on turn 1, and he absolutely did. Curved it perfectly into the Encounters flow, and neither of these players showing any sign of slowing down, both figuratively and literally so far, is the way that the turns have been played out so far. But they have been fairly straightforward, best possible options on every turn so far.
I will say for Zhym, his font of power feels more powerful for me. The Occult Conjurer is actually just a lot of stats, obviously, if you can get some of those hard-to-proc secrets down. But also, the Wormweaver is actually pretty huge now. It's got more health, it stick around a little bit longer. Getting 2 additional minions by just casting a spell and those being mana worms is a big deal. So I think at least just with font of power, he got the better end of the stick in terms of raw power.
I'm not 100% convinced I agree with you. I think it's close, but I think purely having the secret card draw legendary when you have ring toss in hand is just so nuts, potentially in this matchup, right? That could end up drawing Felkeine 3, maybe 4 cards, and because he has the ring toss to corrupt, he goes like Apexis Blast into corrupted ring toss. I think he'll have the time to just land that on board. But I do agree in terms of just like pure presence on board. The Zhym got the higher quality minions, but I mean, card draw is so crucial in this matchup that I wonder if that one card might carry.
Yeah, I might be underestimating the impact, or the overestimating, I guess, the impact of playing a 6-mana 5/5. And then not passing, obviously, because you're going to draw some cards, but that's the Sage, although good, feels just a little bit slow, at least for now, but we'll see. I do understand, of course, your point, drawing cards is normally very, very good in the matchup.
Yeah, that's also the thing with Encounters Flow, right, is that card draw gets much less slow when you have Encounters Flow, right? Because you can play a 6-mana 5/5 and you draw 3 cards, and if one of those cards is then a 0-mana Brain Freeze and another one is a 0-mana Devolving Missiles and so on, you've just had a very fast tempo turn at that point, just based on the cards that you've drawn.
Pretty interesting play there from Felkeine. Went for the Apexis Blast. He could have actually just done like Combustion Netherwind that turn.
Sure.
And saved the Apexis Blast. And obviously he gains the minion, right? So that there is a benefit. It's a shame for him the minion sucks. But I don't know. I thought that thing can go face. That's all I think about these cards.
True. Ooh.
Okay.
That's not sure. Wakey, wakey. Yo. Okay. So looking at turns where spend a little bit of mana, refreshing Spring Water to get back up and then drop Raz. So he can go down to 4 mana before he plays the Spring Water. So Netherwind, yep, love this. Netherwind, Spring Water, Raz. Perfect.
Looks good to me.
Yep.
True mastery takes dedication.
Worth studying for lab partner specifically here, just to try and get some extra burn? Guess not. Okay.
I think, weirdly enough, Studies just might be a really good card to proc a potential counterspell.
True. Yeah, good point.
Oh, here comes Wormweaver and Devolving Missiles.
That is absolutely the good outcome there for Felkeine. Unfortunately, though... Now, if I'm being very harsh, Raven, this is technically a positioning mistake, right? Because he had Netherwind Portal. If he'd have put his Raz to the right-hand side of the Phoenix that he had in play, after devolving missiles, he would be very, very likely to still have a high health minion in the middle for combustion. Now, that is being incredibly picky, and I do not for a second think that I would have thought about that before the fact if I was playing this game myself, but it is technically true.
I would have thought of it.
Yeah, of course you would. You're a god, I mean.
But yeah, you are right. Regardless of, fair or not as criticism, like it is something that would have changed the outcome of that play, right? Or maybe not even made the play possible. Yeah, which is important here. But Felkeine is going to be able to get hold of another Phoenix if he wants. Again, one of the more powerful minions you can get because your opponent can't interact with it before you get to, which is a huge benefit of Dormant, of course.
It's got to be Brain Freeze Combustion, right? It's so insane here. It has to be. No? Gonna push and develop the Ring Toss instead. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, you wanted to draw Arcane Intellect with that turn you suggested, I guess?
Yeah, I think he has to dump one card first, then AI, and then try and find something to spend 2 mana on, which I guess would be the sticking point from that. Like, what if you don't hit it? He just took a guaranteed effective play, but yeah, fine.
Oh.
Done it again, right? He's done it again. Yeah, this one he's more annoyed about because this one is slightly more obvious. He again played his Dormant minion to the left-hand side of the minion that he had on board. So when his Netherwind Portal minion appears, the 2 minions are next to each other as opposed to having the Dormant minion in the middle that can't be targeted by combustion. That one I will go in on a bit more. That's a genuine mistake that I think you're supposed to catch.
Yeah, Sol doesn't play by the normal rules. It's not a 3 strikes and you're out, it's a 2 strikes and you're out. It's pretty more of a ruthless game, to be honest.
Yeah. Nice. I do like this choice, though. I think Oasis Ally is underrepresented in people's choices of secrets when playing this deck. Nice. All right. Lethal.
Everyone in chat's like, what? It's everywhere, that's the secret.
Think I'm joking?
Have I a joke to you?
It was possible.
Close.
Right?
Yeah, it could.
I think it's technically possible that turn. Obviously, you don't go for it because you just have the Phoenix waking up on the next turn. Makes perfect sense. You just wait it out with the 0 mana cram session to pop off with. But yeah, I think it was still technically possible that turn with the second Spring Water still remaining.
And this mirror match is so strange to me because it does remind me of a Hunter mirror match where at one point, one player's health just gets too low to be able to come back from because there's no heal, right? So once you've set them to around the mid-teens and you're scared of these double fireballs, you can see now, double fireball, Ruined Orb, anything that Felkeine even wants here.
Yeah.
And he's going to just not attack, right?
Yeah, he just doesn't need to. He has it. I was kind of interested, if you had 100% confidence there that you were dealing with counterspell, you could have just ripped the Flame Strike first, right? The counterspell. But that would have been ridiculous, even with how much mana you had available. I still think that ends up being guaranteed with the cram session and the Arcane Intellect drawing so many cards that you then hit the Spring Water, which then gives you mana back. But I think with the density of burn that Felkeine still had in his deck, I think he recognized that just get as little mana counterspelled as possible. I don't need all the draw here. Kick things off with the Arcane Intellect and just had more than enough to get going through there. So off to a rapid start with the Mage Mirrors, but we're going to need it as we're going to be rolling into a Priest Mirror very shortly after this. But now we get to answer the big question, which is whether this Counterspell Netherwind Portal version of the deck, the secondary deck here in Specialist, is going to be the choice for these players.
And weirdly enough, although that game obviously flew past, I do think it was those Phoenix, right, that really paid off for Felkeine because Zhym can't do anything about it. The Phoenix procs, boom. Whether that turn was the Raz we saw or whether it's the Fireball lethal turn, because it adds so much more damage, especially when you have already done Incanter's Flow to make obviously all your burn cheaper. And there's no way it can be interacted with because the second it procs, it's that player's turn, go. And I think that's where Felkeine really got ahead because I think generally speaking, if you just pretend those Phoenixes were something else, the game was looking even-ish, but the Phoenix just every turn they popped, it just ended the game. It's huge.
Yeah. But you can also just see the power at the end of kind of what I was talking about, right? Like, even though Sage didn't end up getting played, it was because Felkeine just hit so much other card draw anyway that his hand was just always full. But that's when you get especially the second Incanter's flow down, that's what you want to be doing in a lot of matchups, is just cram Session into AI, into Spring Water, just get the whole way through your deck as rapidly as humanly possible. Raven yet again. These are some high-quality mage players we're looking at here.
Well, do you want to hear something interesting as well?
They've stuck.
Neither player's changed here.
Wow, okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, neither player's changed, so it's just going to be an exact opening deck mirror. And I think this is also a bit of a nod to what you were saying earlier, right? Of, well, maybe the mages haven't respected the mages as well as the priests. Sure. You know what I mean? Where it's like, well, if I've got nothing for mage, nothing for priest, or vice versa, it's like, well, what happens? Well, you just play a mirror match.
That is strange. That is strange in Specialist, though, because generally you see people teching for the mirror specifically, right? Because the philosophy is, if I'm bringing this deck, then so are other people, because I believe it to be the right thing to do. Therefore, other people will also do the right thing, right? So I want to have a tech for the mirror. It's generally something that you do have baked into your strategy when it comes to Specialist.
It also looks like I may have lied. And Zhym is actually on his tertiary. My thing didn't update fast enough by the looks of it, because it definitely told me there was something else in the list.
Jeez, Raven.
Shut up. Anyway, my bad. Carry on.
Imagine trusting Raven. But yeah, I do think that's the right decision. It certainly makes sense to me.
Okay, these minions from the Font of Power are definitely not the flashiest, are they?
No. Oh! Gamer!
I mean, it is just, I guess, just the best card in the deck, right? The Incanter's Flow.
Yep.
It's what you mulligan for. It's what you want to discover and play. Anything to reduce your hand down, because, as you said, the card draw such a big impact. But Zhym might be able to gain at least some tempo here with this Apexis Blast, only facing down a Babbling Book. Okay, just a 5/5.
And that's bad news, because one of those 5s is a very, very big deal when you're playing Apexis Blast Tennis with your opponent. You see the little shake of the head there from Zhym. And, functionally, that 5-3 that Felkeine got and the 5-5 that Zhym got are the same thing, right? Like, they just both die to Apexis Blast, which is the area of the game that we're at, because neither player wants to spend turns removing minions, right? They want to be doing proactive things. So any minion you have stuck on the board, as long as it's of a reasonable size, if it doesn't get above 5 health, it's a decent minion. You can start threatening to hit with it.
Ooh, interesting. I was wondering whether Firework... Oh, you can still go for it, right? Oh, no, it's going to be one off. I was looking at Firework Elemental there, even though it's obviously a little bit slow.
Brain Freeze, great pickup. I like this, though, yeah. As I said at the start of this turn, you don't want to be spending your turn removing minions, and if he'd have just used the Brain Freeze there, that's what he would have done. At least here with the with the Ring Toss instead, he is able to just do something somewhat proactive with his turn.
And now, like, Felkeine has to navigate this minefield of secrets, right? It should be fairly straightforward, because there's some just expected choices, and because his hand is so cheap, he can just use throwaway spells to proc them.
Yep, so counterspell dealt with, you play the Arcane Intellect here, and I think if you don't see Netherwind Portal, okay, if Netherwind Portal didn't activate here, I don't think you ever attack face in any universe, because I don't think it's worth the 8 damage. I still think you probably don't. Like, you can test for Water Ellie Secret here, right? Because it's just such a clean trade, and if it happens, fine, you can kind of deal with it anyway. I don't think this Direwolf really achieves anything for you if it's Ice Barrier on the other side, though.
Yeah, maybe Felkeine just won't attack regardless, and just didn't want to give him a 3/6.
Sure. It just has a 2/2 on board, which soaks up some mask damage as well, which is relevant. Yeah, that's fair. It's very fair.
Like, he only used a Brain Freeze, right? Like, it was not the end of the world.
Yep. No, good point. I love the way that Felkeine is consistently holding on to these 0-mana primordial studies as well. We've seen on multiple occasions, as you pointed out, that they're just so clutch for just diffusing the bombs of the secrets coming out on the other side. Ooh!
It's actually like bad for Felkeine to an extent, right?
Not if it gets killed now, because the secret doesn't proc on... Secrets can't proc on your turn, right?
Sure.
But yeah, it depends if and when it dies. And if and when it's an ice barrier on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if Felkeine, like for example this, right, it's just a good trade. But if he does that, then he's going to proc a potential ice barrier.
Whoa, okay, I mean now you just proc the ice barrier because you've just got chunky boys on your side.
Now you don't even trade. Now you just put 10 to face.
It's 10 to face either way, Raven. I don't know what you're saying.
And
Gadoosh.
there we go.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I am guessing... General rule of thumb for Mask of Cthulhu, if there's no enemy minions on the board, you should play it. Because it's just maximum damage. And now we're edging towards that point I mentioned earlier where, like, has Zhym just taken too much damage to realistically come back from? He's got to deal with these minions. There'll be another one now with Netherwind. Okay, not the end of the world. But he's got to not only stop these minions hitting him, he also has to deal 30, which... before he gets killed by Felkeine, which starts to just suddenly look like a big problem here for Zhym.
Yep. And I know just answering no to that question is very poor Minecraft and kills the hype, but no, Raven. 16 health is not enough to be able to come back in this game. If I were to cling to a single beam of light coming through the window, it's that currently Felkeine does not have the card draw that he would like to guarantee that he can pick up the 1 to 2 more burn spells he'll need to finish out the game. But he does just have Second Mask in his hand and chunky minions in play already. Like, he's threatening so much still.
And the fact that he has the spells to even block a counter spell chain, right? Like, not you could even think, oh, well, what if Zhym counter spells every turn for the rest of the game somehow? Well, it doesn't matter because look, boom, Primordial Studies for 0. Okay, counter spell gone, mask good to go, and then he can just do it again next turn with Brain Freeze or Devolving Missile.
He can just ping face until the end of the game from this point. Probably.
It's the Hunter strat, right?
Yeah.
It's just a Hunter mirror now.
Yep. And then finish with the Mordresh.
In 10 turns time.
Netherwind Rigged Fair picked up. Oh. Synergy. Just waiting for a parrot and a Goldrin to appear now.
Bad synergy, right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. You definitely do not want to be drawing a 10-10 rush, as weird as that sounds in Spellmage, nor do you want your things deactivated. Yeah.
What to do?
True, though, right?
I think the players should make this an honourable game and both just try and Mordresh each other. But you can only pick. But you can only ping minions.
You can only ping minions. Yeah, just Font of Power number 2 into the Reckless Apprentice, or whatever that card's called, and then we're getting there. I think it's actually just good from Zhym. Like, I think Zhym knew exactly what was going to happen here. He's just decided that's net positive for him if his opponent can draw 10-10 rushes.
Oh, Rigged Fair game going off, though. Huge deal. There's more card draw, and that looks like it may just be enough Sottle to get there. Another Devolving Missiles just to prod the counter spell. Boom. Game over. Felkeine takes the victory, takes the series in a lightning fast one, especially for us all. I'm not used to it. He's going to take the victory there in that absolute pure mage mirror. And I think he played pretty well. There were those positioning moments we talked about in the previous game, but I think overall strategy and turn-to-turn gameplay was very, very good from Felkeine.
Yeah, and again, like, the first one was... It's the kind of play where, like, if someone does it and you spot it, you go, that was sick. Like, that's some real high-level Hearthstone that he thought about all of that, but, like, not spotting all that interaction going off, fine. The second one, I think, you know, a GM should be catching, and I think you saw that in Felkeine's reaction as well, where he was disappointed in himself after the second one. But he also did a lot of things very well. The holding of the 0-mana Primordial Studies, his general sequencing through his turns, and just drawing a lot of Incanter's Flow, which is, of course, the mark of a good mage player. So, yeah, I think very nicely done, very